In this video, I'm going to break down the 10 mindset beliefs that you must have if you're ever going to be a dad under 15% body fat. Now, this isn't some hokey pokey voodoo nonsense bullshit. These are legit belief systems that you must inherit for yourself if you're ever going to get off the yo-yo train. Now, why can I say this? Well, my name is Brian Scuderi. I'm the founder of Unbreakable Dads, and I help driven dads who are burnt out from diet culture finally break through their plateaus just by changing how they think. Because that's exactly how I broke through my plateaus. 7 years ago, in the same year that I made multiple six figures for the very first time in my life, I matched that success with my waist growing by 3 inches. I was a tubby boy. And I added 40 pounds of fat to my frame. Now, as you can see, I'm a pretty narrow-shouldered guy, so you know where I was keeping all that weight. I was a little pregnant baby. See, I started a business that ended up taking up most of my life, and I also started a family at the exact same time. And as the demands from my business really started to increase, I had stressful deadlines, I had projects, I had new hires, I had employees. At one point, I was running 10 locations with hundreds of employees. Dude, I was just stressed out. My health, my fitness, working out, all that stuff, it really just took a back seat. See, I was so focused on my bank account. I was so focused on getting the house and starting the family and making sure my garage was tight. And I got this really crispy 4Runner, dude. Whew. Every single day of my life, man, I just went to work, got it done. And then I was so exhausted that I would just come home and I'd lay on the couch like this. And I would just absolutely crush food because I was so hungry because I just wouldn't eat all day. And of course, my wife really wasn't health conscious either. So all the dinners that she was making, like maybe we'd pick up pizza, she'd make like cornbread and chili, like that type of stuff. So I just worked towards all of that financial success. I worked towards my career blowing up. I worked towards the recognition from others. And my health just took a back seat. Honestly, at that point, like in my life, I just didn't even care about it. It didn't even matter because I wasn't aware of the damage that I was doing. Until one day, I had to attend a banquet. It was an award banquet. And at these award banquets, you wear tuxes. So on the day of the banquet, luckily my wife was like, can you try on your tux? I think she was probably telling me like, I don't know if it's going to fit. And I was like, oh no, it doesn't fit. Like, and I started getting like kind of angry. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like I put on this much weight in 1 year. Like I wore that tux to the same banquet last year. And now I'm wearing it now and it doesn't fit. And I was like, kind of seething with embarrassment. Like I walked out of the bedroom and I looked at my wife and I was like, tux doesn't fit. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm going to run to the mall. And I had to pick up an off the rack tux, which isn't exactly wonderful. And this was a big deal banquet. This is where I actually won a marketing award for having the best sales team in the country for the direct sales company I was working for. My level of insecurity and confidence absolutely plummeted that day. Like confidence was here. Insecurity was down here. After I couldn't fit in my tux, it was like, boop, just completely shifted. And it blew my mind. And the next morning, I took a shower. I was a little hungover. I was taking the same shower in the same bathroom, looking at the same reflection in the mirror, but it was like the first time I ever saw myself. And what reflected back to me was a very soft and pudgy version of myself. And the questions I started to ask myself were like, what happened? Where did this all come from? Like I was always an athletic kid. Like I always had muscle. I always had a flat stomach. I never really struggled with my weight. It was a really big clash of identities, feeling bloated, feeling gross, but doing nothing about it. And that was when things really started to shift for me. When I came back home, I decided that I was going to hop on a diet. This was back 2017, 2018. So the big craze was keto. And you probably did keto. I don't know a single dad that hasn't done keto, but I was like, carbs are the enemy. I'm never eating bread again. I'm never having pasta again. And I started losing weight. And I lost a ton of weight. I lost over 30 pounds in just about 6 months. I didn't touch a carbohydrate the entire time. But at the same time, it didn't really feel very sustainable because every single time my wife would make pasta in the house, or every single time that my wife was like, hey, I'm going to pick up a sandwich from the deli. Do you want one? I'd have to say no, or I'd have to take it off the bread, or I couldn't get breaded chicken cutlets. I could only get grilled chicken cutlets. Like there were all of these very restrictive shifts that I had to make that drove me absolutely nuts. I ended up losing 30 pounds. And I remember being like, I'm done. I went from 228 all the way down to 190. And I was like, I'm done. And I went and I had all the carbs in the world. I was like, yes, like I'm 190. Like I get to eat whatever I want again. And within 3 months, I had put all the weight back on. And I felt more defeated and demoralized than ever before. And it started having these thoughts like maybe it's my age, maybe it's my genetics, maybe my metabolism's slowing down, maybe I have low testosterone. And maybe you've had these thoughts too. I started to ask myself a different series of questions of like, why am I not able to keep it off? And what I realized was that it was much more of a mindset shift than anything else. It wasn't really the tactics, because here's the thing, and you know this: keto works, vegan works, Whole30 works, Weight Watchers works, Jenny Craig's, like name it, it works. P90X, it works. It all works. It wasn't tactics. It was the way that I was thinking about everything. It was the way that I was making my decisions. And that was when I realized that it was all about the 6 inches in between my ears. So I'm going to walk you through this video. I'm going to share with you 3 beliefs. Then I'm actually going to break down with you how the mind works and why you need to have these 10 belief systems. Because if you do not have these 10 belief systems, it doesn't matter what diet you do. It doesn't matter what strategy or how many carbs or how motivated you are, at any point in time, you will yo-yo back if you do not do this. So I'm going to share with you the first 3 beliefs. Then we're going to go through a quick little masterclass on how the mind works and why it's so important that you adopt these 10 beliefs. Then I'm going to give you the rest. And the last 2, if you do not bring those last 2 into your life, I promise you, no matter how many YouTube videos, no how many diet books, recipe books, classes you join, money you spend, coaches you hire, anything, you don't adopt these 2, you will never get results, and you will always yo-yo for the rest of your life. So make sure to stay to the end of the video. So belief number 1, food is fuel. So many guys, at least in my experience, and the way that I used to treat food was, it was very much about like the relationship with it, in terms of, well, we eat when we celebrate, and based on, my mood would determine what I would want to eat. And when I didn't feel like it, I would order out, or I would ask my wife the question like, what are you in the mood for? And ultimately we would relate food to emotion, right? When food is linked to like mood or emotion, this is where we get emotional eating. So anybody who's below 15% body fat that has earned it, right? They're not just genetically dispositioned to that, or they're not 21 years old, 22 years old, and they have a wild metabolism because their test levels are through the roof. These people look at food as fuel. Like, what am I going to eat that's going to make me feel good, right? If I don't feel good right now, I want to eat something that's actually going to give me energy. And they look at their food in the way of like, how much protein am I getting? How many calories am I eating? And they know that if they overeat on calories and they don't hit their protein number, that they're going to be moving in the opposite direction of what's going to make them feel good. I'm not saying you need to be 8% body fat to quote unquote feel good. In fact, you probably would feel like shit at 8% body fat. I've competed in a couple shows to know that. It's way healthier, and you'll feel amazing if you are really hovering around like 13% body fat. That's the ideal body fat percentage for guys. So to get to 13% body fat, right, we have to look at like, what's our protein intake, what's our calorie intake, and food can no longer be this thing that you relate to your mood. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love donuts, dude. Like, I fucking love donuts. I could eat donuts every single day of my life. But if I did eat donuts every single day for the rest of my life in whatever quantities that I wanted, then it wouldn't be special, right? It wouldn't have that same thing. Whatever familiarity breeds contempt, whatever we constantly have, we naturally lower the value to. So if I can have donuts every single day, then it's not going to taste as good. But dude, I eat donuts maybe twice a year. When I say donuts, I mean like, I want a fucking $8 donut that like some baker put their literal heart and fucking soul into, and it's like handmade. And like, so that $8 donut, dude, when I eat that, it's like I'm fucking having sex with it, right? Like, it's so fucking good. And yes, will I enjoy these types of things in my life? Of course, because life's all about balance. But that donut is 1,000 calories. That's half my calories for the day. And I'm definitely not going to touch it when I'm in a cut. So because I do not get emotional about my food, and I respect food and I respect my body, when I do indulge in those things, the level of happiness that I get from it is 10x than if I just always eat whatever I want. Like if I'm having muffins and pizza and bagel bites and all these other things whenever I want. When I do have those like fun foods, oh, it's fun because I'm not eating it all the time. Okay, belief number 2 is standards over perfection. So many guys that struggle with their weight, they tend to have what I call a 0 or 100 mentality. Either I'm perfect or I don't care. And the moment they experience anything that's less than like being 100% on track, they naturally just jump off the train. They're like, well, I didn't eat perfectly yesterday, so I'm just not going to do it today. Or oh man, I didn't hit my protein yet, and there's no way that I can do it for the rest of the day, so I'm just gonna eat whatever I want. And it's that fuck it mentality that sends you on these crazy long journeys of just being completely off track. What you want to do is you want to understand that yes, I can have perfection here and be 100, but you know what? I can do 81% and still get progress. I could do 92%. So if I don't hit my protein perfectly on Thursday, it doesn't mean I'm just going to throw it to the fucking wind and just give up completely, right? I'm not a 0 or 100. It's all about having standards over perfection. So one of the things we teach in Unbreakable Dads is called 4-5-1. Okay? So the way I look at this is like, this is 0, this is 100, right? A perfect week would be 7 workouts, 7 days of perfect nutrition, right? And a gallon of water a day. Right? Well, 4-5-1 is very similar. It's like a new floor. Rather than making the floor 0, right? We just want to stay above this in what I call the zone of progress. Okay? So 4-5-1 would be 4 workouts, 5 days of nutrition, right? So we'll just say like, great nutrition, and then 1 gallon of water a day. So the thing is like, if I understand that I only need to, hit 4 workouts, okay? And when I say workouts, I really just mean like movement. Because obviously you're not lifting weights 7 days a week, but you might have like 5 actual like weightlifting workouts and then 2 days where you just hit, 12,000 steps, or, you incorporate some yoga because you're smart and you realize that stretching is actually good for you and you don't skip that shit, right? Yoga, it could be mobility, it could be, like a active recovery, whatever you want to do, right? But you should be moving every day. But like, get 10,000 steps in a day, dude. Please. It's not that difficult, okay? But see, the thing is when you have these new standards and your floor becomes, well, I get at least 4 days a week of great movement, 5 days where I'm damn near perfect with my nutrition, and 1 gallon of water a day, then you might not make the same amount of progress that week, but you're still taking steps forward. You're still looking at it like, I don't have to be perfect, because if I hold myself to this perfection ideology, then inevitably when I fuck up, because you're gonna fuck up, because everybody fucks up, right? Then I don't have to get down on myself. I just realize, okay, maybe I said I was gonna get 5 workouts this week, and I was supposed to work out on Wednesday, but kid got sick, they were up all night, like morning meeting got called by, some sort of CEO or something along those lines. Like you just had to mess up your schedule and it just didn't work. Okay, cool. Well, now I can, rather than beating myself up, I could just take that workout and I can just move it to Thursday, because I know that I just need to hit 4. As long as I hit 4, I'm still progressing that week. Because we do not rise and fall to the level of our goals, perfection. We rise and fall to the standards that we hold ourselves to. What are the minimum standards? And when you raise your minimum standards, it's impossible for you not to progress. My light actually died in the middle of that. Okay, let's go to belief number 3. Belief numero tres, and then we're going to go into like how the mind works, okay? So belief number 3, health is you know the next word, negotiable. When you have that belief system, you realize that like, okay, cool. Nothing comes before my health. Nothing comes before me feeling energetically good. Nothing. Now, I may move some things around to hold my standards, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to completely forego my health. Because they say that you can have 1,000 problems in the world until you have a health problem. Then you only have one problem, your fucking health. And so many guys sacrifice their health for money. They sacrifice their health to appease their wife. They sacrifice their health because they feel guilty about their kids. Oh, I just got to be there for my kids all the time. Like, you're the fucking dad. You're supposed to be leading from the front. Here's the thing, your kids will always find out who you are. And so many guys use their kids as the excuse. They're like, oh, well, it's really hard because I have kids. So what you're saying is, when you say, I'm not in good shape because I have kids, you're in effect blaming your children for your poor choices. Okay? And I've said this in a million different videos. But truth be told, when you say, oh man, it's my kids, man, it's my kids. Like I just, it's hard for me to get to the gym with my kids. Then work out at home. Right? Oh man, it's too hard because, dude, so do me a favor. Next time you see your kids, walk up to your son, walk up to your daughter, and you say, hey, you see this 40 pounds that I'm carrying around right now? I just want you to know that it's your fault that it's here. Me looking like this and me having low energy, like, it's your fault. It's because you exist. You hear me say that and you're like, I would never do that. Of course you fucking wouldn't, right? But you sit here and you make the excuse to yourself like, oh, it's too hard because I have kids. Well, then effectively you're blaming your children for your poor choices. You're blaming your children for your inability to manage your time. You're blaming your children for your inability to wake up. You're saying it's your fault. You make my life too hard. And see, any father that is sub 15% body fat, healthy, strong, like they don't make that excuse. They don't blame their kids. Their kids are their purpose. They do it for their kids. They want to be a great example for their children. They're like, hey, you can have the success, you can have the career title, you can have the loving family, you can have the house, you can have the car, and you can also be in great shape. No man who is a true leader for their family deals in ors, O-Rs, right? I can have this or I can have that. No, true leaders of their family deal with ands. I have kids and I'm in great shape. I have a career and I'm in great shape. I have a wife and I'm in great shape. All of the other stuff that's really important, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying your kids aren't important, but what I'm saying is they all become your purpose, your fuel, your drive. When I don't want to push myself, I think about how my kids are going to act when they're in their 30s and they're tired. So don't make excuses. Start to live in the and lifestyle. Don't live in the or mindset, okay? You have an and mindset, and that's how you make things work. Again, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to progress. So now we've talked about 3 different beliefs. And before we go any further, I actually want to talk to you about how the mind works. So many guys think that the mind is just like their thoughts. You know, we read these books like Think and Grow Rich. But here's the deal. This is actually how your mind works, okay? So we have you smiling because you're watching my YouTube channel, and your mind exists in the now. But your mind is not you. The same way that I'm using this Apple Pencil to draw on my iPad is the same way that you use your mind. It is a tool. Now your mind thinks in pictures. So it brings up an image. Like if I were to ask you to think of what you had for breakfast this morning, it's not like you see words, right? It doesn't say eggs and toast. You see in your mind's eye, eggs and toast on the plate. So your mind thinks in pictures. And based on those pictures, you're either going to decide on what it means if it was a good thing or if it was a bad thing. Now, when you are in the current moment, and we're going to imagine that this is you, this blue dot. This is your body, sure, over here, and this is how your mind thinks, but you are this blue dot. We're not going to get into, is it a soul? Is it spirit? Is it the God force? Is it this? You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you call it, right? Like what's true for you is what's true for you. I'm just going to say we can all agree that we are not our mind, and I can prove it to you. Have you ever had a conversation in your head, right? Well, that's your mind talking to you, but who's listening? That's you, okay? So you are not your mind, you are not your body. But what ends up happening is in the now, your mind pulls from the past because it cannot predict the future, and it makes decisions based on your memories, whether it's a good or bad feeling, okay? And it takes this and it brings it forward and it creates a bit of a lens, right? It'll create that little bit of a lens to which it'll decide on what to do in the future. So it'll say, well, here I am. The last time I went to the gym, I worked out really hard and I was super sore for like a week, and I don't really like being sore. Negative experience. So let me decide not to go to the gym, right? That's a no-go. I don't want to go to the gym because I had a bad experience. Or I was working out and I hurt myself. Or I was working out and I dropped a dumbbell and this other guy looked at me and I felt embarrassed, right? Whatever that charged feeling is. And so what we want to do is all of these memories, when repeated long enough, become a belief system. And here's the thing, you repeat memories in your head, don't you? You kind of play this thing over and over and over and over and over your head. We have our conscious mind and we have our subconscious mind. And so whatever we repeat in our head, right, times, I'll just put like times 20, right? Like it becomes part of our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind controls our body, and our body is what controls our actions. And then our actions are where we get our results. And so what we control with our conscious mind is predicated based on our imagination, our sense of sight, right? Smell, you typically will think about something, right, that you can smell, like olfactory brings in some past memories. Your taste, your touch, and what you hear. And so just by listening to this video, seeing what I'm saying, you're already thinking differently, right? Like when I was going through the different beliefs, you're like, oh yeah, that all makes sense. And I'm starting to understand what Brian's talking about. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm implanting a new lens on which you see the world. So how is it that we use this principle now to change our life? Well, the thing is that we have all of these different beliefs. And our beliefs determine what we believe our potential is. Our potential determines what level of action we take. If you believe, let's say, that you can be really successful in weight loss, right? That means that you think you have a very high potential, which means you're going to take a lot of action. You're going to go to the gym, you're going to hit your steps, you're going to get your gallon of water, you're going to count your macros, you're going to hit your proteins. Like you're going to take that all out massive action. And then what ends up happening is you get, like by taking all that action, you get a certain level of results. And those results influence our next level of belief. This is why guys who win and get in great shape typically can continue the momentum. But then what happens, right? Well, let's say we experience something across our day-to-day, like a birthday party or a family function, someplace that you typically will go off the rails. Well, you don't believe that you have a very high level of potential to succeed there. So what ends up happening is you self-sabotage. And in so doing, you get worse results, which reinforces that belief system that you can't get results at birthday parties, or you can't get results on vacations or family functions, or you go to the gym and you try to up the weight. And you think, all right, cool, like maybe I can up the weight, maybe I can't. And you end up failing on, bench press or whatever. So, maybe you only try that one time and then you don't try again, or you don't actually start a bench press program to get stronger because you don't think that your potential is there, because you think that genetically speaking, you're going to be weak and small for forever, or you're always going to be fat. So why even, go and get 10,000 steps? I'm always going to be fat. Why don't I need to even track my macros? I'm always going to be, you see what I'm getting at, right? And then it determines what level of action you take. And then that not getting results, right? Like, oh man, the scale didn't move. I barely tracked my macros this week and I feel like I ate so healthy, but in all reality, I didn't track. I don't actually know if I ate healthy, and I don't actually know for a fact that I did everything I need to do, because I took half-ass action because I didn't really believe that I was actually going to get myself any results. So subconsciously, I'm self-sabotaging. So I take half-ass action. I get little to no results, and see, I fucking knew it. It doesn't work. And so this is how your mind works. So if we want to shift the beliefs, what we have to do is, by watching videos like this, and honestly, this is what we work on in my elite program so much, is literally programming a new set of belief systems into our brain through repetition. So that way we believe that we have a higher level of potential, we take higher action, you get higher results, that reaffirms the higher belief. You think you even have more potential, so you take even more action, which gets you even more results, which raises your belief, you see how it kind of spirals up. And that's the purpose of my program. This is why I can say, I don't really care what tactics it is. It doesn't really matter what the tactics are. If your belief system does not work, then you're always going to be fat. You're always going to yo-yo. You're always going to struggle. You're never going to actually follow through. You're always going to self-sabotage. You're going to lose 10 pounds and then put 10 pounds back on. You're just going to keep going through the same cycle over and over and over again, because you're not fixing the root cause. Fat is a symptom, my friend. It is a symptom of a failed thought process. It's a symptom of a thought process. Everything, including fat loss, business, success, career, everything, your relationship with your wife, your relationship with your kids, everything about your life is determined by your thought process. Whether it's a successful thought process or a failure-based thought process, that's going to determine your outcome. And so this is why we focus 100% on the mind, and why I'm making this video on the 10 belief systems of a dad who is sub 15% body fat. Not, here's how I got sub 50% body fat. If you need a how-to video, there's 1,000,001 on YouTube. There's like 6 or 7 on my own channel that you can just go watch and you can go implement. But I know for a fact that even if you try to implement everything that I teach on my YouTube channel, if you do not have this down, you're not going to get anywhere. So this is why we start with the belief system. Now, that's a very simplified overview of how the mind works. Let's go into the next belief structure here. Belief number 4, I control my environment. There is an unbelievable amount of guys that will tell me that the reason why they can't stop snacking, or the reason why they can't, lose any of the weight, is because their kids don't like those foods. My wife just doesn't buy into it. Oh, there's too many snacking foods in the house. I will tell you point blank, that is all bullshit. That just is a thought process. You control your environment. You don't want to see those foods? Keep them in the cupboard. Okay? You control what you eat for dinner. You're a big boy, man. You don't want to eat your wife's pasta casserole? Then make something else for yourself. Oh, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that. Then you're not in control of your environment and you're not taking that level of responsibility. It is up to you to own your own level of responsibility. You're a man. Look between your legs. Is there a dick and fucking nuts between there? Then you need to take that level of responsibility. I'm cracking myself up. It's very aggressive that I said that, but it's also true. If you're not accepting responsibility for your environment and your decisions with it, then you're never going to get anywhere. It's not up to your wife. It's not up to your job. It's not up to your commute. It's not up to your kids. There is a way to solve everything because there is someone who is living the exact similar lifestyle that you are, that has a wife who doesn't really care about their health and fitness, that have kids that are too young to even register what a workout is, i.e. me, right? Like both my kids are under 3. They don't know what working out is. They still get it done. Like I run my own business, dude. I work like 70-hour weeks. I still get it done because I found a way to make it happen because my thought process is correct. I control my environment. I'm responsible for my environment. And when you bring that into your life, dude, it's amazing what you can do. Belief number 5. I'm just going to start putting B5, okay? Rest equals progress. So a lot of guys get guilty on rest days. Okay, and I see this even with my own clients, and this is some of the things that I work on, especially with like my super type A, fucking hardworking entrepreneur, business owner, sales manager, sales director, CEO type guys. Those guys are typically like, I'm all go, man. I'm all go, no quit. And it's like they take a rest day and they're like, oh man, I feel like I'm getting fat again. It's like, no, dude, rest is part of the program. You don't actually build muscle in the gym and you don't actually lose any fat in the gym. It's everything about what you do when you rest. Right? And rest equals progress. So, your Sundays where just go get 10,000 steps. Like if you've hit your 4 workouts for the week, let your body rest and recover. That's how you build muscle. And that's how you change over your BMR, right? When you build more muscle when you increase your base metabolic rate, you can consume more calories, right? You actually create a better deficit there. The idea behind that, I'm not going to get too much into the specifics of like the science behind rest, but rest is progress. Rest is a chance for you to appreciate the work that you have done, take gratitude for the fact that you even did that work and you're capable of doing that work, and you just appreciate your body and you love on your body by giving it a fucking break. Working out 7 days a week, going hard, doing 2 a days, or training for a marathon and doing CrossFit is never going to get you anywhere. You're just going to burn yourself out, you're going to injure yourself, and you're going to make all this progress over the course of 6 to 12 weeks, and then you're going to get injured and you're going to have to take 12 weeks off and you're going to undo it anyway. So rest is progress. Okay, belief number 6, something is always better than nothing. Something is always better than nothing. So if you are, let's say you set your alarm for 4:45, okay? Because you know that you need to get to the gym by 5:15 so you can do your full 45-minute workout and be back in the car by 6:30 so that way you're home for the kids. That's my morning schedule, by the way. There are many days, not a lot of days, but many days, I would say maybe once a week, maybe like 6 to 8 times a month, where I don't wake up at 4:45. It just doesn't happen, right? My body needs a little bit more rest, and I wake up at like 5:30. Okay, that's an extra 45 minutes. There goes the majority of my workout time. But the thing is I'm still gonna wake up and I'm gonna go hit the treadmill, or I'm gonna go fucking do some push-ups, or I'm gonna go get to the gym, and I might only do a 15 or 20-minute workout at the gym because something is better than nothing. And if I said I was gonna work out, then I wanna continue to conquer my mind by going and working out. I don't want my mind to win, because if I take that day off just because I say, well, I don't have an hour, I only have 30 minutes, then all I'm doing is I'm allowing my mind to contract. I'm allowing my mind to hold me back. And then it's like my mind wins over my spirit, and then I don't continue to make progress. See, your spirit is all about expansion. Your spirit is all about growing and getting better. That's that voice inside of you that made you watch this video, right? That's that voice inside of you that's like, dude, I know we can lose this 30 pounds. I just need to figure it out. That's what I'm talking about, right? But your mind wants to constrict. And so when you make excuses for yourself, which is just your mind saying, oh man, we don't need to do that today, then it's basically your mind holding your spirit back and contracting backwards. So I'd always rather do 10 minutes of a hard workout, even if it's in my basement, where I do burpees for a minute, push-ups for a minute, squats for a minute, and then do that on repeat 4 times for 12 minutes, than to not work out at all. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing it as a way to conquer it, to say, listen, all these negative thoughts, these self-doubts, these anything, like that's where true confidence comes from, is saying I'm going to do something and actually following through. Belief number 7, setbacks are teachers. Setbacks are teachers. What I mean by this is that it's a constant game of learning how to navigate, right? When your schedule shifts or your kids get older and all of a sudden now they have a new sport, you're constantly playing the game of adaptation, right? My schedule has changed, I don't even know how many times in just the past year. And so sometimes I have a huge influx of clients, and sometimes I need to fix fires in my business. Sometimes I have more free time depending on the time of the year and the slow season. Like, my schedule is constantly changing, and then I'm adjusting along with that. And I experience things like a flight to South Carolina or going on a business event. And I have to learn how to navigate these things. And when I was first getting going, those kind of ended up being setbacks. Like, I brought some intention in that I was going to win, and I brought some intention that I was going to stay on top of stuff. But there were times where I wasn't perfect. I went to St. Louis, Missouri back in 2021, I believe. And my goal was to continue to work out all the way through that. I was there for 4 days and 4 nights. I was flying home on the 5th day, and I was like, I need to work out. I need to work out. And when I got there, the gym, I think, was like closed down for cleaning the first day. And I made the excuse, and I was like, all right, man, I guess I'm just not going to work out. And then the next day I was like, oh, well, I'm a little tired after the event. And the next day after that, I was like, well, it's the jet lag because now I'm 2 hours behind, blah, blah, blah. And I just ended up only working out like once over the course of those 4 days, even though I said I was going to work out all 4 of those days because I needed to. It was the middle of the week. I remember feeling really down about myself, but then the next trip that I went on, I had made a different decision. I had worked on a couple things. My discipline was a little bit better. I had a more heart in mind, and I actually prepped a little bit better, where I found a gym that I was excited about going to that was only a 5-minute drive away. And so when I did travel to Austin, Texas, I went to this badass gym and I was actually excited to go. The thing that I had learned was, like, I wasn't fired up to go work out with like this one rack of dumbbells, but there was probably a gym right, maybe 5 minutes away when I was in St. Louis that I would have been excited about going about. And it would have been way easier for me to wake up in the morning and, find the energy to go because it had all the equipment and I felt like I could hit my program completely. And so I found that gym when I went to Austin, Texas, and I was there, I think, for 3 days. I had 2 workouts scheduled during that time, and I hit both workouts and hit my macros completely. So what was initially a setback taught me what I actually needed to do to follow through on the next thing. So setbacks are teachers. Don't try to be perfect the entire time, but use the setback as an opportunity to assess and say to yourself, okay, what could I have done differently? How could I have thought about things differently? How could I have approached it differently? I mean, I got so good at this that the next time I went to Austin, Texas, I was on bodybuilding prep, which meant I wasn't allowed to miss because I was going to be on stage in 6 weeks. And not only did I hit all my workouts, not only did I hit all my steps and get my cardio in, but I actually flew food down. I packed an extra suitcase where I packed 4 days worth of food in my suitcase, flew it down to Austin, Texas, and tossed it in the fridge in the hotel room. That's how serious I was, right? So that initial setback in 2021, if I would have let that have got to me and said, oh, it's just impossible, to do it when I'm traveling, then I wouldn't 3 years later have absolutely crushed it in 2024 with my bodybuilding show. So these are your setbacks are teachers. Belief number 8, health fuels all of my success. When your health is dialed in, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire, dude. If you're already winning in your career, imagine how much more you could win when you feel like a fucking badass. If you're already having a great relationship with your wife, how amazing would it be? How much better would the sex be? How much more into each other? Like, how much more would she not be able to keep her hands off of you if you were in great shape and you had abs and biceps and stuff like that? Shit she wants to fucking touch all the time, right? If you're already, you have enough energy to play with your kids, how much more fun could you have with them if you felt like you had boundless levels of energy and you could play for even longer and you didn't get tired after 15 minutes, right? Like, your health fuels all your success. And this is why I say my health is non-negotiable. It is the base foundation of everything else. If I do not have my health in check, it's game over eventually. It may not be game over today, but it may be game over in 3 years or 5 years or 15 years or 20 years. And I want to extend the amount of time that I can be excellent. That's what health is. That's what working out is. It's just extending your runway for excellence and progress in every other area of your life. And when you look at it like that, you realize this is just something I cannot continue to pass by. I can't just keep sitting on my ass, because all you're doing is you're shortening your runway of time of excellence and progress. But by working out, eating healthy, walking, drinking your water, like just the basics, the fundamentals, like all you're doing is you're extending your runway. And this is the difference between the grandpas that are like, oh yeah, come sit on my lap, honey, and the grandpas who are like, you guys want to go to the playground? Like I want to be the grandpa where, you know, my grandkids come in and they're just like, "What are we doing today?" And I'm like, "We're going in the fucking woods, dude. We're fucking shit up." Like that's what I want to do because that's the things that kids want. Kids don't want the grandpa or the dad who's just like, "Yeah, come sit over here," or "Why don't we sit on the couch and watch a movie?" Like that sucks. You know that that sucks because when you do it, you're like, you start to feel a little guilty. There's that little voice inside of you like, "Well, maybe we should like go outside or something." When you nail your health, dude, it's game over. It's game over. Like you can just extend that runway and you just show up so much better in every area of your life. But I know you know that. That's why you're watching this. That's why you made it this far in the video. Belief number 9. Working out isn't about losing weight. It's about having more energy and getting stronger. What we really want is to feel strong. What we really want is to have a ton of energy. What we really like, yes, abs are cool. I like having abs. Okay. Yes, having biceps is awesome, right? But it's the fact that like when my 2-year-old runs up to me, I don't even have to worry even for a second about picking her up. It's just whoop, right up, no problem. And it will be like that probably until she's like 25. And when she's 25, I'm still gonna want to pick her ass up, right? I'm gonna carry her down the fucking wedding aisle one day, okay? And that's the thing, it's about getting stronger. It's about building your body, not bodybuilding. I doubt that you want to walk on stage. In fact, if you did, I would never want to work with you because those aren't my type of people. Crazy, right? But it's about having more energy. It's about getting stronger. And when you make the focus like, how much stronger am I getting? How much better do I feel? That's when you start to play into, right, what we talked about down here, where you start to see more results because the results that you're focusing on aren't just how much weight did I lose this week? Because there's going to be some weeks that you could be absolutely perfect and you could only lose 0.1 pounds. You can be absolutely perfect and gain weight. It has happened to me, right? So it's like if I only look at it like how much weight am I losing, then I'm just setting myself up to be disproportionately disappointed, right? Because the scale moves like this, dude. The scale moves, it's like your weight loss journey is going to look like this, dude. Like, yes, there's a trend line, but there's ups and downs. And so it's not just about losing weight, but it's like, is my energy increasing? Is my strength increasing? Am I happier? Do I feel more confident? Are my clothes fitting better? Does my skin feel tighter? Like all of the other, maybe not so measurable things. The scale is a great tool and we want to look for a trend line, but the problem with the scale is that it's going to have its ups and downs, man. Last but not least, okay? Being healthy is who I am, not what I do. This principle right here, without getting too heavy into like metaphysics and stuff like that, this is what's called the building an identity around it, right? When you can get to the point where it's not just a habit that I have, oh, I go to the gym and stuff like that, like, oh yeah, I work out, or yeah, I'm on a diet, where it's not this external part of your life where you don't identify with it. When it becomes part of who you are, this is who I am. I am a healthy sub 15% dad. I am a dad who treats myself well. I am a dad who prioritizes my health. I am a dad who has high energy. And you act like that person now, even when you don't have all of the fucking results, even though you look in the mirror and you might not see abs tomorrow. The only way you're going to get abs is when you start to internalize the principles. Because here's the thing. Habits, these take anywhere between 3 and 6 months to really like actually become part of your like day to day. For it to become a lifestyle, it takes 1 to 2 years, and for it to become an identity, this takes 3 years plus. You're not going to radically change your body in 3 months. You can lose 30 pounds. Don't get me wrong, and that's a pretty drastic change. That's great. That's awesome. But you're not going to have that, like whatever you imagine like the end result is, whatever that end result is, that's like 1 to 3 years away, truthfully, right? Unless you're just talking about like, oh man, I got this like last little layer over here, you know. I doubt that if you only have 10 pounds to lose, you're wondering what the 10 beliefs are of sub 15% body fat because you're like 18% body fat. But this goes out to the guys that are like, you've been working out for a while, you've tried everything, you've been in the gym consistently, you've gotten to CrossFit, but you have this like start-stop feeling. That's because you just haven't completely identified with it. And the only way to completely identify with it is understanding that I have to build the habits first, then I need to understand how I can incorporate it into my lifestyle. And then when I do it for a long enough period of time, the journey, right? When I do it for a long enough period of time, eventually it'll just become part of who I am. This right here is the byproduct, right? You can act like it now, but it's going to feel foreign to you initially. But when you continuously do that, when you continuously make choices, this is who I am now. Like, who I am is I'm somebody who I meal prep my protein on Sundays, and it only takes me an hour. It's what I do. It's how I do. It's when I go out and I travel, I just stick to fruits, veggies, and meats. That's just what I do. Like, that for me, like, that's when it isn't even a thought process. Like, at this point now, 6 years later, I don't have to think about being healthy. I don't have to try to go to the gym. I don't have to maybe hit my steps, right? Like, it is just part of what I do. I don't have to think about drinking a gallon of water a day. I just do it. It didn't happen overnight. I did, 3 to 6 months in, I still had to, like, okay, man, like, where's my habit tracker? Let me make sure I'm doing all of these things. And this is why I have a coach. This is why I had a coach. This is why I continue to have a coach, right? Is because they're constantly helping me elevate and see what that next level is. Help me raise that belief so I can increase what I believe my perceived potential is, so I can take even more action, I can get even more results, and then start to spiral upwards. But if you do not begin to identify with the habits and say, this is what I do, not, oh, I'm just trying this out. That's what so many guys say. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds. It's like, trying. What is trying? Either you're doing the things to lose the 20 pounds or you're not. But I hope that you watch this video and you hear the things that you say to yourself, because that's what I'm trying to help you understand, is that internal dialogue, your thought process, the way that you're viewing, cooking multiple meals at night, the way you're viewing traveling, the way that you're viewing, oh man, Denise brought in fucking muffins at the office today. Like, I would be rude if I didn't have one. Rude to who? To Denise? Is Denise gonna go home and be like, oh man, Eric didn't have one of my muffins? Like, oh my God, I'm never gonna make muffins for the office ever again. No, dude, like, that's that's not what's gonna happen. But that's what you're imagining is happening, right? That's your mind. And this is why I say I can help anybody lose 20 to 50 pounds in 6 months just by changing how you think. Yes, there's a little bit of strategy involved, but in all reality, how many times have you said to yourself, I know what I need to do, and I'm just not doing it? That's because you haven't figured out the 6 inches in between your ears. So, quick recap on the beliefs. Number 1, food is fuel. Number 2 is standards over perfection. Number 3, my health is non-negotiable. Number 4, my environment is under my control and it is my responsibility. Number 5, rest equals progress. Number 6, something is always better than nothing. Number 7, setbacks are teachers. Number 8, my health fuels and is like gasoline on a fire to all my other success in my life. Number 9, it's not just about losing weight, it's about building strength and having more energy so you can show up better for the rest of your life. And when you attach your purpose, like when you properly seek that purpose, then the work becomes easier. And number 10, it's not what I do, it's who I am. So I want you to just take a quick moment and reflect back on, like, which of these 10 beliefs really resonate with you. And I want to encourage you to start to implement some of them. I want you to just start saying things to yourself. Like, when you're eating dinner, like, food is fuel. Is this going to fuel me or is this going to tear me down, right? Like, when Denise does bring those muffins to the office, is this going to fuel me? Is this going to spike my insulin and then I'm going to crash in an hour? Am I going to regret eating this? And then base your decisions on that, right? Start implementing some of these beliefs immediately into your mindset. And last but not least, if you have any questions about mindset or anything along those lines, just go ahead and drop a question right here in the comments. I would love if you like the video, if you could subscribe to the channel, go check out some of my other content. And hey, if you want to know how we help driven dads lose 20 to 50 pounds in 6 months by just changing how they think about things, then you can go ahead and book a call with either me or my team below in the description. All right? Thanks for watching.